So if you guys watch Raito streams, you would know in the 314 one, Lexio and I had a big argument about the topic of the World 5 versus the Master Strikers, particularly Lavinho versus the World 5. Today I'm going to give my viewpoint on the matter on if he is worse than all of them or which ones he is better than. I don't want to hear any "oh Suki is glazing Lavinho" in the comment section, as the last two Lavinho videos I had about him, he took an L in both of those videos. Now I have a guest very well known in the locker room helping me tackle this controversial tackle. Can you now introduce yourself?
Yo, I'm OP. As Suki said, you'll also see me on the locker room streams, and I'm glad to have an opportunity to share in this video.
So the video will be structured like this: why I chose Lavinho specifically, how good is Lavinho actually, then how he fares in a 1v1. But besides Silva, who seems like a defender, we will match him against the others in terms of feat for feat on the World 5 feats, and seeing if Lavinho can replicate those exact feats that the World 5 did. Since Silva is a defender, I will just scale him in a 1v1 like everyone else. But instead of using feats, I will see if Lavinho can actually get past Silva and score. OP will be adding his thoughts onto the matchups as well, because the way I structured this isn't the most practical way to go about it, but since we only see these guys play for limited amounts of times and never really get in a serious affair on a pro level, we gotta make lemonade with the lemons we got. So the reason I chose Lavinho is because Noah's the world's greatest striker and Chris is the second greatest striker and Snuffy is the best in the world. So that meant in terms of accolades and feats in the professional world, Lavinho is considered to be the weakest of the master strikers. Now thanks to Lexio, I have to bring up the tiers in BlueLock. We have Father tier, which is for the BlueLockers who performed in the program and never got a bid, excluding Nero because he just got done dirty. And considering that Sendo was talking about playing for a club before the U20 exhibition match, I'm pretty sure the U20 members already had club offers. We have subsidiary BlueLock tiers, so this is for the BlueLockers who didn't make the top 23, excluding Nagi because he is U20 World Cup level without the ego crisis. Then we have the U20 level, so right below the pinnacle of the best youthful players. Then we have the new Gen 11 level, which everyone knows very well with Sai, Kaiser, Lorenzo, and Bunny. Then we have the professionals like the master strikers themselves. Lastly, the international superstars, the World 5 fall under that category. I'll get back to these tiers when dealing with Data Silva. Okay, so we get properly introduced to Lavinho in chapter 160, where we see from first glance that this guy is a D1 self-glazer. Bo keeps calling himself the best in the world and won't have anyone else calling him anything less. However, as he is glazing himself, he states having his own world's best comes from his visualization. This is what he wants his students to adopt from their time in FC Barca. Now this ain't gonna be a master striker teaching yaps, but this leads into one of his abilities thanks to his visualization, being Ginga. This is a saying in his home country of Brazil, which means to sway and move freely, and it comes from capoeira, which combines martial arts and music. Your upper body moves like it's swinging, and your feet touch the ball like you're sucking it in. The Brazilian stars he loves had this rhythm at the root of their play. He states at first it's okay to copy their styles, but then you gotta start mixing your own things, and that chemical formula of creating your own image, what the world's best looks like. There is more into this one chapter about Lavinho I could talk about, but this ain't the time for that. Another video for another day. So in chapter 164, we get to see him finally enter the pitch. He is immediately pressed by Noah at the kickoff. Lavinho is seen keeping the ball away from Noah, but Noah is barely managing to keep up with Lavinho like a machine. This matchup is similar to Bachira vs Konigami, with Bachira's unpredictable new dribbling style just having its way in a machine Noah copycat in Konigami. So it seems Lavinho is going to boost by Noah shortly, however he can't simply do that as behind Noah to both his sides is Isagi and Kaiser. But Isagi, who hadn't done anything yet, gave into his impulses to dash in to try and help out his hero. But this was a fatal mistake as Lavinho used a rainbow heel flick to get past Isagi and also put Isagi in front of Noah, shielding him from the threat of Noah. Noah explains from the world's POV why he is the dance man, which doesn't stem from his graceful steps but to the ones who become marionettes and fall into Lavinho's dance performance. They are the victims to the dance of defeat. As Lavinho gets past the goalkeeper to score, he got past Isagi, Noah, Mensah, Birkenstock, and Backman to score this goal. Lavinho in chapter 165 appeared to come out of nowhere like Yukimiya's immersive speed, where he appears from one end of the box to another to stop an attacker. Sadly, he was just another body in Noah's aura farming highlight reel. We see Lavinho once again in chapter 296 where he steps foot into the match against Munchen City. Lavinho doesn't really do much in this game as Otoya dispossesses the Nagi Rail duo and immediately passes it to Lavinho, who immediately passes it to Bachua, commanding him to boost the tempo and let his imagination run wild, in which he does as Bachua assists Otoya's goal. My favorite Lavinho feat actually comes from chapter 297, as when Nagi gets past Picasso and Darai, he has the ball on his head and Lavinho just speed blitz Nagi and caught the ball perfectly off of Nagi's head. Yeah bro, who just does this on a random day? The world ain't wrong for calling him the world's most surprising man in the world. This was the last thing he did as he got dispossessed by Chris Prince and Real scored, ending their 3 minutes on the pitch. We get to see him in a pro level match in the Copa del Rey finals against Chico Reed, aka Atletico Madrid. We again don't get to see much of him as he is shown handling 2 Chico Reed defenders assisting Bunny's goal. I find the name Chico Reed funny because Chico means small in Spanish and La Real is the rival to them. So Kaneshiro is indirectly telling those who don't speak or understand Spanish that Chico Reed is small in comparison to their rivals of La Real. Either that or he is referring to their trophy cabinets because it's pretty small since the last trophy they won was back in 2021. Now time for OP to talk about his opponent's feats.
The World 5, introduced in Chapter 87, are a group of 5 world-class players used by Ego to evaluate and humble the BlueLockers at the beginning of the 3rd selection. Each one represents some of the very best from their country. To start, we'll be discussing the beast from the Brazil national team, the hungry heavy tank, Dada Silva. By his title and stature alone, you can tell this is a man with a dominating physique, and it's quickly shown off in the match against Rin's team. Off a quick pass from Pablo, Dada Silva is able to out-jump the jumper himself, Aryu, and pass the ball. Aryu at this point, and in the future, has almost never lost aerial battles, yet Dada sat him down without any issue. His powerful headers are also used later to score his own goal, with his technique known as the raised dive header. Dada's physicality is not limited to air matches though. As we see in episode Nagi, even Barrow's charges, a weapon that not even Kunigami could handle head on, were nothing to the tank Dada Silva.
I think this is a very hard matchup as well. Yes, Dada is confirmed to be playing for the national team, with Lavinho never being confirmed to be on the Brazilian national team. There can be reasons why, whether it's injuries, no good history of the coach, or just not caring to play international football like Itoshi Sai. We don't know why, so I won't put this whole matchup solely on titles alone, because we can't say exhibition match Sai is better than PXG Rin just because he is a new Gen 11 and Rin is not. So no 1v1, can Lavinho beat Dada? And I believe that is unlikely because if Lavinho tries a rainbow heel flick or any aerial moves, Dada will beat him in the air. However, Lavinho, even by Noah, is regarded to be the most unpredictable man in the world, so he will stand a better time on the ground. But my problem is he couldn't even get past Noah, a non-defender, easily, and Noah is 31. So would he be able to get past a real defender? It's hard to say, especially if we keep in mind he was easily keeping pace with Aryu on the ground too, meaning he should be able to be around Chiguri's 2nd selection level speed, as Aryu was functioning pretty well against Chiguri thanks to those long legs. However, Dada is not immune to Ginga, which in Lavinho's case takes advantage of his whole body, and similar to Nagi, who used his shoulder to confuse Silva to get past him, Lavinho, being the unpredictable man he is, will find a way to confuse Silva, because if Nagi can, Lavinho definitely can. So I will give this win to Lavinho.
I agree mostly with Suki. In the matchup, Dada definitely has the advantage on the physical side, with his excellent mass and jumping ability. But there's no doubt in my mind that Lavinho knows this well. And as a man with infinite options, I believe he can find a way around the tank, without entering the aerial space or a physical contest, resulting in Lavinho's win. Moving on to the rival of Pikachu, the babyface Pablo Cabazos from Argentina. Other than being known as the cutest striker in all of BlueLock, he has an impressive title, the world's best free kicker. That alone shows his impressive placement, control, and curve. This all makes him not only an impressive striker, but also an amazing passer. As shown multiple times in the World 5 matchups, Pablo delivers perfect passes. It didn't matter if 1 or 2 people were guarding him. Pablo would deliver the ball exactly where it needed to go. This was helped by his other weapon, one of the strongest in all of BlueLock, Metavision. He first showed the pattern in episode Nagi chapter 33. While for now he seems to only use it for finding passing targets or routes, Metavision itself boost a person's capabilities on offense and on defense.
Okay, now this is an intriguing matchup, so I'm gonna see if Lavinho can match all of Pablo's feats and do it better. So first of all, the first thing he does in both matches we see him in is use metavision, similar to Charles, as he solely uses it to see the most precise passing plays and sends a high-speed pass to his receiver. So Lavinho really can't match Pablo's passing. IQ and spatial awareness is an iffy one as well. Batra, who acts dumb a lot, was able to, alongside Kaiser, understand the situation of Noah and Lavinho better than Isagi. So being a talented learner doesn't mean you have better spatial awareness, as Lavinho, Loki, Batra, Rin, and even Shido and Nagi all have shown good spatial awareness feats. There is metavision that triumphs this, but it depends on the user, as Nico got cooked by Raichi, and Pablo only uses metavision for passing, both in the main manga and in episode Nagi, so I really can't say who has the better vision between the two. However, passing wise, Pablo easily takes this in the cake. We can't prove Lavinho can do as well as Pablo with his best pass being the one to Bunny, which was just a high law pass. While I can give Lavinho the better dribbling feats, as he did that super golazo on a bigger field than anything Pablo did, because the World 5 field was smaller than the actual field the Masters Acres played on. However, Pablo has shown better shooting and defensive feats, as on defense he stopped Batra's play and made him ineffective for the whole match. While Lavinho tagging Nagi out of nowhere was really cool, this was nerfed Nagi, who really wasn't locked in, and Lavinho came out of nowhere, so he came out of his tunnel of vision. Meanwhile, Pablo ran that smoke face to face, and shooting wise, Lavinho can only score a tap, and meanwhile, Pablo was shooting from 15 to 28 meters distance, considering how short the pitch was. Honestly, the only thing Lavinho has over Pablo is better aerial and dribbling feats, but Pablo has better passing, shooting, defense, and potentially better analytical prowess, so I'm going to give this win to Pablo.
This is a very interesting matchup, as Suki said. It's actually one I can see going either way, with Pablo having better passing and most likely better vision. Lavinho has far better dribbling. We actually rarely see this type of matchup of dribbling versus metavision users, Pablo v Batra being one of the very few in the series. In the end, Pablo no-diffed Batra, but we have to remember this is a Batra without Ginga, a style that vastly improves his dribbling. And I believe this is key to the matchup. Ginga forces the opponent to act first, while metavision is predominantly used to predict and react. So forcing a metavision user to act first can give him the advantage in a one-on-one, like with Rin against Isagi when he nutmegged him, or his crash shoot. Now, what does this mean for this matchup? Well, I believe in a raw one-on-one, Lavi will win, but in a game, Pablo will have the greater impact. And within Chaos though, it's either's game, so I'll give a slight edge to Pablo. Now, let's discuss the drunkard of scoring, the goal junkie Adam Blake. A man from England who loves his woman. He boasts a very impressive title, that being the top scorer in the entire English league, a league that contains the world's number 2 striker, Chris Prince. Now how does Adam Blake achieve this feat? Well, through what seems to be his main weapon, extreme physicality. He has one of the toughest bodies in the football world, easily able to shove off somebody like Tokimitsu. Not only that, his physicality allowed him to match Jean Tetsu's acceleration without any effort. All in all, Adam Blake is a forward who forces himself through to score any ball that's given to him.
This is an international one, the top goal scorer in the La Liga versus the top goal scorer in the Premier League. So they both have proven themselves well. Blake easily should outmatch Lavinho in a speed contest, as he caught up to Zantetsu's acceleration with ease. Meanwhile, Lavinho does have an impressive agility speed feat in dispossessing Nagi, but that was a sneak attack. Meanwhile, Blake wasn't sneak attacking Zantetsu, he just easily caught up to him and ran that fade. And Blake and Noah should be around the same level of physical prowess, so it means Lavinho can't either get past Blake easily because of the physical prowess gap, and since Blake handled Tokimitsu, I'm pretty sure if it came to it, Blake would be able to handle it. The only thing I can give Lavinho over Blake is his dribbling skills and craftiness, which is really good, as Nagi used his trapping and craftiness to get by Blake. This is really hard, but I think Blake should pick up this win, because in a long 1v1, I feel like Blake's physical prowess and insane acceleration should keep Lavinho from stopping him. The only way Lavinho could stop him is with slide tackles. Meanwhile, if Lavinho fools Blake, he can pull a Santetsu and just boost himself in front of Lavinho. The Premier League is also harder than the La Liga, so being the top goal scorer there compared to the La Liga is a bit more credible of a feat. So I give this to Blake 8 times out of 10.
This is a hard matchup. On the surface, it's similar to Lavinho versus Dada, because both Dada and Blake have insane physiques. But, just like Bachira said, it takes more than muscles to dance. Blake has the advantage of being able to catch back up after he's been passed by Lavinho, but I don't think he's actually able to steal the ball off him. Even Noah, someone who has repeatedly shown his competence on defense against someone like Snuffy, couldn't take the ball off Lavinho either. Both Noah and Blake are strikers, so I truly don't believe Blake could stop Lavinho on defense. The opposite is also true. There's no chance Lavinho is stopping Adam Blake either, a man who can force his way through goals with sheer power. So it comes down to who's a better scorer, the top scorer of the Premier or La Liga. As an American, I don't know which league is tougher, so I'll trust Suki's words and just say the Premier League is more difficult, giving the win to Adam Blake. The gem, Prince of Real Madrid, the world's strongest club, Leonardo Luna. From accolades alone, Luna is almost on a different level. Claimed to be the ace of the strongest club in the world, Luna has the skills to match his reputation. His most dominant seeming to be his technical ability, with touches on the ball that can go from monstrous to the most gentle tap, dribbling through the number 1 in BlueLock with ease. This technical ability goes beyond his dribbling. Precise hand placement combined with a world-class mind and adaptability makes him one of the best ball carriers in the world, said to be more adaptable than the chameleon himself. His formula is simple but deadly. Approach with dribbling, then watch, react, and counter anything his opponents attempt. With this, he was able to shut down both Nagi and Rin, the geniuses of BlueLock. Nothing less from the Prince of Real, Leonardo Luna.
Before I really dive into this matchup, I want to talk about real-life football as this will help debunk a certain matter. In real life, Real Madrid, this real-life counterpart to La Real, doesn't really do well in the La Liga most of the time. Sure, they do well enough to place in the top 4 to guarantee Champions League, so we can see all those La Rementadas, but they mainly give their all in the Champions League compared to all their other competitions. So Lavinho being better than Luna shouldn't be a factor of the goal scoring tally, as goals aren't the only aspect in football to care for. They share very similar physical specs, both being pretty fast and really good at dribbling. Luna has a very good dexterity and is a talented learner with specs similar to Rail to give him a bigger boost. However, defensively, I have to give Lavinho the edge with his agility and speed to react to Nagi in the air like that. This is very close, but Luna reacting to Rin wasn't as impressive. And I believe anything we've seen Luna do, Lavinho could have replicated those feats with ease. So if Lavinho is in Luna's shoes, he is still cooking. So I'm going to give this win to Lavinho.
A battle of the dribblers. Lavinho, the master of Ginga, and Luna, the tactical reader. Both have styles that draw out mistakes from the opponent and exploit them. Luna seems to be more active, approaching people with his dribbles, forcing them into an action, while Lavinho can glide past an entire team, making them fall. So when they match up, who wins? The reader or the one acting on instinct? Talented learner or genius? For this, I like to look at a statement from Noah. Quote, "In the world at surprising his opponent. Truly, the one thing that could contest talented learners is the inherent chaos a genius brings." And with Lavinho being the best at that, there's a good argument for Lavinho winning. Now, looking on the club front, Luna honestly takes this. Being the prince, the ace of this best club in the world is a hard accolade to beat. But Lavinho, yes, he scores more than Luna. Yes, his team is in the finals, not Luna's. But Real is still considered the best, the strongest, for a reason. So while most will say Luna, based purely on the unfavorable matchup, I'm gonna say Lavinho takes it. Last, but certainly not least, the rising star, the geniuses of geniuses, Julian Loki of France. The only World 5 member to also be a master striker. If Luna is almost on a different level, Loki has broken the scale entirely, and he knows it. Straight from his own mouth, "You were all amazing until I showed up." said by Noah to be the closest threat to his position as the #1 striker. What makes this 18-year-old so dominant? One word: Godspeed. Loki is by far the fastest character in BlueLock, and he abuses this God-given talent in many ways. Firstly, his playing style. Loki is primarily a counter-attacker, punishing players who push too far forward after winning the ball back by dashing into open space to receive it, or by bringing it upfield himself. In one-on-ones, he's just as deadly. It doesn't matter if you could read his path, because simply put, he's fast. His speed is also a terrifying weapon on defense, intercepting passes from across the pitch, or blocking the fastest swing in the world, the Kaiser Impact Magnus, after reading its path. All in all, Loki is a menace across the entire pitch. If you can't slow him down with a press before he accelerates, then it's good game for the God Sprinter, Julian Loki. Honestly, unlike the rest, I don't think there's that much to say here. In almost every aspect of the game, outside of dribbling, Loki sweeps. He has far better shooting, defensive, playmaking feats. His Godspeed is truly unfair. When it comes to the runner-up striker in the world, Noah puts Loki above Lavinho. It's simple as that.
Yeah, this is a massive beatdown. I've already done a video on this before. Lavinho still has no feats that can keep up with Loki's speed offensively and defensively. Unlike the other four, we have actually seen a lot of Loki. Unless it's a team game or like a 4v1, beating him seems impossible, as the only way to nerf him is to drain his stamina, and Lavinho can't do that alone. Bro got wrecked by a 31-year-old Noah. What's he gonna do against a 17-year-old? Lavinho is offensively a very technical player, and his best trait is his elements of surprise and dribbling nature, which he doesn't get against Loki, because Loki can just use his speed to catch up from any surprise attacks from Loki, so he hard stumps. Overall, me and OP have Lavinho only beating Silva and Luna of the World 5. What a prick, copying all my decisions like a puppy following its owner. So yeah, Lavinho has a 2-3 record against them according to us. Anyways, big ups to him for joining this topic, and until the next video, stay blessed. Suki out.